Hello everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be playing some No More Future. A little context on this game. I have actually played this game before, and loved every second of it, and I'd love to re-experience it with you guys. Let's go for it. Welcome to No More Future. Is this your first time playing through the game? Well, it isn't my first time, but I'm going to do this. I see a new face. Given that it's your first time reading this novel, perhaps it's best to have you start at the very beginning. There's a quick lot. Oh heck! If I could just speak, that'd help a lot. There's quite a lot of ground to cover, and there's a lot of. Oh my freak! I can't talk today. Let me try this again. There's quite a lot of ground to cover, after all, and I'm sure you don't want to miss any of it. I do hope you will enjoy reading through this humble novel, dear reader. With that said, actually, two more things, if I may. This story is a work of fiction. Any resemblance to animal people, real or imagined, is entirely coincidental. This story also contains content that is not suitable to children of all ages or appropriate for those suffering from depression or suicidal thoughts. Viewer discretion is advised. A dimly lit hospital room in the midst of the fanciest hospital your family could afford. A simple bedroom surrounded by gray walls and dusty curtains on all sides. Beyond the artificial barriers lie identical cubicles all around you. They're a bit livelier than yours, about as lively as they can be in a place like this anyway. There's no TV to watch as you wait, no games to play, no books to read, and no one to talk to. Not even your family is allowed in at this hour of the day. You can only listen to the other patients as they lament their woes to their loved ones, sobbing and crying while holding each other tight. So, looks like we started in a really creepy-looking hospital room. We got the blood bag behind me. You haven't paid attention to any of them for quite a while. It only makes you feel worse. You're sprawled on your bed, hidden with the discomfort of your sheets, tired and silent. Your eyes are red from all the tears, and the streaks they've left in their wake are still visible hours apart. The inside of your mouth is as dry as the voices of the nurses and doctors that seldom come visit you. You're a shipwreck, drifting off in the misty night, waiting for the waves to finally swallow you whole, however long it may take. You already know that all these treatments are meaningless, that there is no saving you from yourself. Your family trusts in the doctors that they've been wasting their finances on, praying to whatever God is out there that he may listen to their plight. But you who lays in this bed, who endures the painful treatments, who deals with the nightmares that orbit their brain every day and every night, you outgrew hope long ago. So you lay there, alone and afraid, your body frozen, as if encased in ice, your mind stuck in a loop. Over and over you repeat to yourself the brutal truth that you cannot run away from. You are going to die. That's dark! That got dark quick. Good evening there. How are you doing today? A woman suddenly appears right before you, almost giving you a heart attack as the sheer volume of her voice strikes you like thunder in a storm. It's not her unexpected arrival that jolts you from your dark thoughts, of course. You've gotten used to people coming and going all the time in this forsaken place. Everything fell into a monotone routine after months of lodging here. No, what startles you is her voice. So much different from the nurses and doctors. So upbeat, so nonchalant, with a glimmer of something more barely hidden beneath the surface. Hardly appropriate, given the circumstances. Hello, you there, come on. I know you aren't dead yet. The lady laughs off your reluctance to engage her in conversation with a cheerful smile. I know I'm asking for a lot here, but you can still grace me with a chat, can't you? Who are you again? After many days of relentless crying, your voice sounds raspy and coarse, almost as if you were coughing. The woman smiles upon hearing you speak, seemingly delighted for whatever reason. Ah, that's much better. Good to know I wasn't too late to the party. It's kind of hard to converse with a corpse. She chuckles at her own joke for a brief moment while you lay in your bed dumbfounded. You're not exactly in the mood for morbid humor like that, so you opt to stay silent and pay it no mind. You decide to take a deeper look at the strange woman, which you haven't deigned with a glance since the moment you first saw her. She's wearing a lab coat of some sort, but her attitude, it's markedly different from those worn by the local doctors. You struggle to unravel her species. She most clearly resembles a Siamese cat, with beige fur all over her hands and neck, but something about her features leaves you wondering. You can't see her tail either, thanks to her coat. You wonder whether she even has one underneath that outfit. After some time spent calmly observing you, the curious lady addresses you once again. I guess I still haven't introduced myself yet, huh? No wonder you've been so reluctant to talk to me. The woman extends her right hand towards you, though she likely doesn't expect you to shake it. I'm Dr. Shelley, but you can just call me Mary. I'm the head of the synthetic department over at Pandora Laboratories. Got a bunch more titles under my belt, but let's leave it at that for now. Needless to say, I'm not associated with this institute or its staff in any way. I'm here as a visitor, and you're free to call security on me if I start overstepping my boundaries in any way. But I think you should hold that thought for now. We've only just started getting to know each other after all. You've half a mind to have her thrown out right now, truth be told. You have no clue who this Mary even is aside from what little she's told you, and you're clearly in no mood to entertain whatever nonsense she's spouting. However, as you're about to raise your voice, something that she previously mentioned begins prodding at the back of your mind, demanding your immediate attention. Pandora Laboratories. Synthetics. Something about these words rubs you the wrong way. Though you seem to recall hearing them before, you cannot picture their meaning in your head. You have a feeling the latter one is especially important. But, so sorry for asking this, but I just realized I didn't have a chance to look up your name before I got here. The nurses downstairs gave me your room, condition and all, but they never did bother to mention you by anything other than your number. And here I thought we were the ones working with robots. The lady's witty line, which does somehow succeed at drawing a faint smile on your face, almost makes you forget that she just admitted to illegally obtaining your sensitive data. That could be a problem. You really should have called security on this nut job a while ago, you reason, but you're not going to. Not just yet. You figure you should give this cat lady a piece of your mind first. Do the doctors around here give their patients info to strangers all the time, or are you a special case? Though there was no irony in your voice, the doctor laughs at your query nonetheless. My, at least your sense of humor's alive and kicking. I might have made it just in time after all. But to answer your question, let's just say I have my ways. Creepy, ooh, scary. Don't worry, I'm not going to use your private data to sell you kitchen knives or low-calorie smoothies. Unlike the workers here, I have standards. Oh, shots fired. How reassuring. Oh, don't act like I'm out here trying to stab you with a needle or something. Like I already said, that's the job of the people downstairs. All I want is to have a nice conversation with someone who, for one reason or another, managed to pique my interest. Surely you can understand this. I piqued your interest? The woman hesitates to explain herself directly. How about you tell me your name first, and we'll go from there? Unless you'd rather I leave you alone, of course. You briefly wonder whether it's wise to share your name with a stranger you barely know, who still revealed so little of herself to you. Oh, excuse me. It's probably a terrible idea, you reason. Everything about this conversation sounds extremely sketchy. You don't know who she is or what she's after, nor is it clear what exactly you stand to gain from this surreal exchange. After some deliberation, however, you decide that privacy isn't really a thing you care about all that much anymore. Besides, it's not like you could lose much more than what you already have. Fine, I'll tell you. My name is Isaac. It feels weird, revealing your name so carelessly to this stranger. It's almost like giving away a part of your soul, in a way. It's probably just you being dramatic as usual, all things considered. Isaac, I see. So that's the name your parents chose for you, I take it? Sorry? The cat's question takes you completely by surprise. Though you'd like to ask for an explanation of some sort, the cat swiftly beats you to the punch. You ever notice how little of ourselves is chosen by us in this world? Our names, our genders, our sexualities, our bodies. Even our personalities are mostly dictated by the way we were raised and by whom. All things we never got a say in. We're born with them, molded by them, and we're stuck with them until the day we... Before she can finish, almost as if perceiving how unsettling her sudden interjection had become, she forcefully stops herself. Sorry, didn't mean to go there. Sometimes I can't control myself when I start rambling like that. What I meant to ask was, if you could start your life anew and this time you could choose everything about yourself, including your name, would you keep it the same or would you change it? You try to process what you've just heard in vain. Her words bounce off your head as if she were talking in a foreign language. You understand what she's saying, but not what she means. What sort of question is that? The interesting sort, wouldn't you agree? More like the ridiculous. Oh, come on, don't sound so glum. Humor me for a minute and I promise it'll all be worth it. The woman's strange questions cause some stir within your mind. You cannot fathom a guess as to where this bizarre line of questioning could possibly lead. Even so, you can't help yourself from indulging in it further, unwilling to return to the dread and emptiness that preceded it. So, what would it be? I'd stick with my given name. You would, huh? I suppose that after living so long with your name, it becomes just as big of a part of your identity as your actual personality. Or maybe it holds a deeper meaning to you, some fond memories associated with it. No need to tell me, by the way. Your gaze says all I need to know. Either way, names are hardly the most important part of an individual. They're just there so we don't have to waste time sorting through countless faces and voices in our heads. I'm just glad I know what to call you when I report back to the labs. Okay, time out. Are you gonna tell me what's the point of this whole conversation? Or are you just gonna keep asking me weird questions like it's all standard procedure? Of course there's a point, and I was getting to it. Eventually. Eventually is much too long a time frame for your tastes, especially when you still don't know what this talk is all about in the first place. It's still a little difficult to speak up, but you try to articulate your confusion as best as you can, regardless. I really don't understand why you're doing this, or why I'm going along with it for that matter. Usually when people come visit, they talk about their lives, the memories we've had together, sometimes about the awful weather outside. And now you've come along and start asking me all this strange stuff and saying all sorts of nonsensical things? It's not like your conversation so far was particularly unenjoyable. It was definitely out of the ordinary for sure, but not necessarily awful. However, given how little time you have left, answering the stranger's questions feels like an utterly pointless endeavor. Then again, isn't that true for all the conversations you've had on this bed? I just can't see the point of doing all this. You hear the cat exhaling a deep sigh as she rests her back on the nearby wall, a pleading expression on her face. I understand, really. I know there's a lot going through your mind right now, and that you're not prepared for this conversation. At the same time, however, I can't really afford to slow down with you. I know you'd rather we introduced ourselves better first, or for me to explain what I'm trying to achieve here in a little more detail. But I have some questions I need to ask first, and sadly I can't skip out on them. Time is of the essence. I've got places to be, people to talk to, and plenty of work to do. I don't have much time, and truth be told... She takes another deep breath as she addresses you once again. I'm not even supposed to be here right now. Wait, what? You're not quite sure what to do with this information. But then, of course, while I have the luxury of being late if I want, you unfortunately lack even that. There's no telling how much time you have left in this world, so you need to consider what you do with it wisely. We can use it to have some regular chit-chat, of course, and then we can go our separate ways, having learned absolutely nothing. Or you could let me ask you a few more questions, even if they're a little off the rails, and maybe we'll both come out of this a little bit better off than we started. What's it gonna be? A little bit better off. As if there's anything she could do to make you feel any less miserable right now. Then again, it's not like you have a lot to lose from this. The alternative to this whole charade is lonely and uncomfortable silence, after all. Still, it's weird how she managed to answer all my questions so easily, even those I never even asked her. Either she's extremely perceptive and good at what she does, or she can somehow read my mind. Or maybe both. Ooh. Just to be safe, better not to think of anything inappropriate while she's around. All jokes aside, having pondered on it for long enough, you finally decide to answer the inquisitive Siamese. Fine. I guess I can endure a couple more questions, if that's what it takes for you to start making some sense. Wonderful. Trust me, you won't regret it. You're still a weirdo, though. Huh, weird doesn't even scratch it. But let's not open that can of worms just yet. So, last question then, as promised. The lady takes out a tablet from within her lab coat and makes as if to write something on it. What pronouns do you use? What pronouns? Are you kidding me? What does that even have to do with this? Look, I know it's stupid, but no matter how this conversation goes, I need to file a report once I get back. Company regulations require me to list your preferred pronouns somewhere in there. Something about avoiding potential lawsuits and things of the sort. Yeah. If you ask me, it's just a load of crap. Meant to give the intern something to do. But what can you do? If you really don't want to answer, I can just write, no, it's fine. You still have no idea what any of this is for, but if this is what it takes for the feline to start talking, all things considered, it could have been far worse for sure. If you really have to use them, I go by he, him. Not even a second later, and the Siamese has already finished typing that down on her tablet. Alright, I'll be sure to remember that too. I'll hold you to it. Got any more surveys you want me to take before you finally tell me what in the world you're doing here? Usually people charge money to give their private info out like this, you know? Ha, fair enough. Don't worry, you'll be compensated for the time you're lending me more than enough. Trust me. And yes, as a matter of fact, we're done with the boring part. Now let's get to the real meat of the discussion, shall we? Oh, there's a point to all this? I was starting to think you were asking me all those questions for craps and giggles. Nah, that stuff was just regular office bureaucracy. You know, that crap makes... The crap that tests... Oh, frick, can I read, please? The crap that justifies the jobs of clerks all over the world. No. How about I ask you a real question, The woman leans over the railing of the bed, a sly smile on her lips. You can't help but feel slightly uncomfortable at her sudden nearness for some reason. Have you ever heard of synthetics? Well, that's certainly not what you expected her to ask. Not with that excited, over-the-moon face, anyways. Dry mouth. Drink time. Nothing short of a lot of reading here. Regardless, even now you have no idea just what in the world she's talking about. She mentioned those synthetics again, a term that you feel as though you should remember. You try to scrounge up what little info you have on them off the top of your head, wondering why the feline seems so interested in them. I think I heard about them once, maybe on the video news or somewhere on the web. Can't say I know the topic all that well, though. Seeing as though you seem ill-informed on the topic, the cat steps in to answer your doubts. It's our latest science project over at the labs, and one I directly oversee. We've been disclosing more and more info on it recently, but it's no wonder someone who was stuck in the hospital for half a year like you doesn't know about it. To put it simply, synthetics are bionic constructs made of both organic parts, artificially made of course, and mechanical ones. They're humanoid androids built to resemble and operate as if they were a real human. So basically they're just artificial bodies for AIs with extra steps. That doesn't sound all that impressive. The technology's been out for a few decades at least. It has, hasn't it? I wouldn't know. It has, hasn't it? I would know. We were the ones who first came up with it, after all. They were? They were. Now you remember. Pandora Laboratories, a subsidiary of the Pandora Corporation, specialize in high-tech R&D in the fields of robotics and software engineering. The vast majority of the most groundbreaking inventions of the last century were credited exclusively to them. You recall learning that in the midst of researching a topic for a high school project. Who could have guessed that those seemingly trivial pieces of information you gathered back then would have become useful right now? As you ponder on that, you hear the feline nonchalantly continue her explanation. The technology is nothing new, you're right about that, as far as AIs are concerned, at least. Sure, we've been able to house artificial minds within artificial bodies for decades, but what about real minds? Wait, real what now? There's no way you heard that right, you reason, and yet the cat continues with her spiel as if you did. Human bodies aren't built to last, as you're quite clearly well aware. Over the course of time, we lose our youth, our beauty, our limbs, our sanity, and ultimately, we're doomed to lose our very lives. But machines, they don't suffer from the same issues. They can continue to operate on and on and on, and repairing them is way faster, cheaper, and easier. In theory, through adequate upgrades and maintenance, even a computer from 100 years ago could continue to be useful in 1,000. Well, yeah, just it may feel 1,000 times slower. I've got a PC, not my main one, but I've got a PC I got my hands on. It runs Windows XP, and it's amazing how well Windows XP ran for its time. It's just kind of cool. Got off a little tangent. What if we could just transfer our consciousness into a computer ourselves? That is what synthetics are truly for. Well, that escalated quickly. You can't help but chuckle as you try to process all the woman has shared with you so far. Right. Out of curiosity, how much alcohol did you drink on the way here? The cat evades your sudden jab with the finesse of a cheetah. Huh, interesting question. I'd say about half a cup worth of vodka, mixed with a little bit of lemon juice and garlic chips. Yeah, that's bad. Yeah, that sounds about... Garlic chips? Honestly, that description, it sounded like... Is that what it's like to drink radiator fluid? Ugh. Hey, don't judge my tastes. I'll have you know I perfected my secret brew over many decades of experimentation. Sounds like a lot of time for trial and error. Mostly error, given her description. Suddenly you wish the two of you were just a little bit more spread out from each other. Either way, this is hardly relevant information right now. Yeah, well, as fun as this conversation has been so far, I can't help but feel that, you know, you're kinda insane. Ooh. The fun kind, but insane nonetheless. For sure, if anyone could attempt a project like this, it'd be Pandora. Even so, you're pretty confident not even they could successfully pull this off. Allowing people to transfer their minds onto a circuit board, escape death, live forever, it sounds like something straight out of science fiction. Before you can relay any of that to the serious-looking cat, however, she immediately shuts you down. Here, take a look at our latest models. Without another word, Mary hands you the tablet where she previously wrote down your personal data and invites you to take a look. There's an image plastered on the high-quality screen of a lizard-esque robot laying motionless within a complex tube-like contraption. It's definitely unlike any robot you've ever seen. Its shape, anatomy, the way the joints are seamlessly connected with one another. It almost feels like there's an actual human in front of you, mechanical parts, and unorthodox design aside. It kind of looks like a giant lizard, or maybe a wingless dragon, with its sinuous body, powerful-looking limbs, and long tail. What truly catches your attention, however, is its face, or rather, its eyes, which are replicated with an LED-like visor that doesn't let you see beyond its cold, black exterior. At the very least, it doesn't seem like the doctor's lying about the android's existence. Without even thinking about it, you make a swiping motion at the screen with your finger, revealing another image right after it. It's not much, just an image of the prototype, taken from a different angle. However, it's enough to prod your interest even further. You keep flicking your fingers on the screen, moving from image to image at ludicrous speed. There are dozens, no, hundreds of them. There are different models, some that even look more oh my heck, that is a word that just stuck up on me. There are different models, some that even look more mammalian than reptilian, and some of the photos were even taken in completely different environments than the first. That was a tongue twister, goodness. The more you see, the more certain you become. These images aren't fake. This isn't some sort of elaborate prank, and Mary over there isn't lying to you. As ridiculous and nonsensical as all this seems, synthetics do exist. You put down the tablet for a moment and turn to face Mary, whose large smile betrays her pride and confidence in her work. You wonder how long she's been looking at you like that while you peruse the tablet. After a few seconds spent reorganizing your thoughts, you finally manage to ask the million-dollar question. Do they actually work? She chuckles at your query, having likely expected you to ask at some point or another. A few more slides to the right, if you will. Heck. A lot of reading. You do as the woman instructed, and what awaits you makes your heart skip a beat. A video of one of those machines, walking around on its hind legs, ordering coffee from a vending machine, seemingly without a care in the world. It cheerfully drinks the hot beverage alongside what seems to be a researcher, conversing amiably with them, just like a human would. I gotta get another drink. What a strange voice it has. It's a little different from humans, but you can't tell how. Regardless, somehow, it still feels human. The way it speaks, its tone, its emotion. This isn't just another AI. At least, not a C grade or even a B grade. This one is on a completely different level from anything you've ever experienced. So that's a walking, talking, and very happy synthetic. Our first real success after decades of experimentation and prototyping. So, what do you think? Unbelievable, am I right? Unbelievable indeed, and yet it's right there in front of your eyes. A dream, a vision taken shape and form. Although you lack all the pieces of the puzzle, you start to feel the faint light of hope shining within your mind once more. And yet the pragmatic side of your brain still isn't fully convinced. It laughs and scoffs at what it sees, ever so reluctant to relinquish the fear and despair that it now knows so dearly. So you want to stuff me inside one of those shiny, walking computers? You seem to catch on to things quickly. The way she chuckles at your remarks sends strange vibes coursing down your spine. The cat seems to enjoy oversimplifying her work and explanations, far more than most professionals like her you've ever met. You're not sure how to take this intriguing quality of hers. Why? What do you have to gain? Lots and lots of valuable data, of course. Like I said, we are still testing this technology, and we're rather interested to see what effects your new living quarters will have on you, among other things. This seems a little too suspicious. Where's the catch? How much will you make me pay for this? The woman is at first taken aback by your question, but ultimately laughs it off as if it were nothing. It's free, kiddo. Doesn't get much better than that, does it? You get a sweet new bod free of charge, and we get to study you from afar and gather all the intel we need. That's the gist of it, really. It does sound rather appealing indeed, an offer you'd be hard-pressed to refuse. But that can't be all. There's no way something as revolutionary, as world-changing, as life-saving as this would require so little sacrifice on your end. Your intuition keeps insisting that the doctor still has a few baits hidden in the murky waters of her proposition. Is that all? Sorry? I said, is that really all? You spot Mary biting the corner of her lip, failing to conceal the doubt that has overtaken her. You properly settle yourself on the bed to better meet her gaze. It's difficult to tell for sure, but for the first time since you've met her, she seems unsure. It's not, is it? What else aren't you telling me? The cat sighs in a vain attempt to make her stress vanish from her face. She probably thought it was worth a shot. She can't bring herself to look you in the eyes as she finally answers your relentless inquiry. Yeah, no, you're right. There is a catch. She hesitates to elaborate. You can only wait, silent but relentless, as she ponders how best to explain herself. We don't know if it works. Huh? We aren't sure if the transition, as we call it, works as intended, or at all for that matter. What? No. You can't be serious. You showed me that video. That robot, synthetic, whatever. They were talking, moving, behaving exactly like a real person. But are they a real person? Or just a highly advanced AI mimicking a real person? No. Believing they were a real person. Of that, we're still in the dark. That's ridiculous. How can you not know whether it actually works or not? What's the whole point of this technology if you can't be sure it's real people in there or not? The tone of your voice is steadily rising, earning a few stares from the people in the cubicles around you. You can barely feel their judging stares on your frail and meekly body, invested in this conversation as you are. It's not so simple. The process we're using to transfer people's consciousness into the machines, the transition, it's completely unlike anything humanity's ever conceived. Impossibly hard to explain, too. Heck, not even I know all the details, and I'm in charge of the whole thing. I know you probably think we're stuffing people in those androids, but the truth is that we aren't. Not even their brains. Even if they could survive in there, in time they would rot as well. All organic matter decays eventually. It'd just be prolonging the inevitable. And that's not what we set out to do. The only thing we're trying to transfer from a human into a synthetic is their consciousness. Their ego, their soul, their humanity. Something that could, theoretically, survive the death of its host. And I don't mean that in the famous people live forever way. I'm being very literal here. Of course, all of this hinges on the idea that this consciousness really exists. That there is more to our bodies than mere flesh and bones. That there's more to our personalities than mere electric signals coursing through our neurons. That doesn't explain why you're testing this technology out before figuring all this stuff out. If you have any ideas on how we're supposed to do that without experimenting on actual synthetics, I'm all ears. You try to come up with some kind of answer to her seemingly idiotic challenge, but you can't. You don't have the knowledge needed to propose any alternative, especially in your weakened mental state. I know that it feels like we're throwing darts at a wall and hoping that they stick the landing, and that those darts are literally actual people. But science isn't just about theorizing and coming up with cool explanations that sound all good and nice so long as they're in your head. Sometimes you have to take risks, be bold, make sacrifices. Except you're asking that sacrifice of me. I'm not asking anything of you. I'm just presenting you an opportunity, a choice. Every other synthetic that's alive today, or who they were before the transition if you want to be stingy about it, knew the risks, and now you know as well. I know that it's not safe, that it's not proven, that it's not a perfect answer to your problem. But the only way to get to the point where it will be safe, proven and certain, is through live experimentation on willing candidates. That's why we collect all the data post-transition, to try and figure this riddle out, to answer one of life's greatest questions. Whether human souls truly exist or not. The existence of human souls. Now that's something you never expected a supercorporation to research, not even to an end as wacky as this. It's one of those questions you always wanted an answer to, but never thought you'd actually be able to answer. You ask yourself what you think the answer is, almost as if on reflex. But the cold shivers down your spine and your rapidly quickening heart rate soon convince you to cease. You try to silence that malicious feeling, hoping you can simply forget it as if it never existed, all in vain. In the end, all attempts at processing the information presented to you end up there, with you pondering on your own mortality, coming to terms with the expiration date placed on you by your brain, wondering whether there's anything you can do to alter it. You'd resigned yourself to your fate, for there was nothing more science could do to help you. But now this new opportunity presented itself. restoring a faint spark of hope within your heart, only for it to flicker and disappear as quickly as it once arose. So it's a gamble. You're betting on your transition or whatever to actually do its job and save me. Betting my life on it. Oh, I'm not betting anything. You are. Like I said, all I'm here to do is give you a chance, even if it's just a shot in the dark. It's up to you whether to take it or not. But think about it this way. If you don't accept my offer, you're guaranteed to die 100%. I've given a brief look at your file. You had good reason to look as gloomy as you did when I first saw you. You know what lies ahead better than I do. It's not going to be pretty. But if you accept my offer, who knows what might happen. Maybe you'll still die and nothing will have changed. Or maybe, just maybe, you'll become one of the first humans to ever cheat death itself. You don't know what to think anymore. You feel your heartbeat increasing with every passing moment as you consider the woman's words. Be honest, what are my chances? It's a binomial test, really. Either you survive or you don't. We can spend all day theorizing your likelihood of success, but that's about it. Theorize. Your actual chances? Either 100% or 0%, depending on the truth. The mad scientist's face now looms mere inches away from your own, her sharp pupils staring straight into yours. You find it impossible to evade her gaze, no matter how hard you try. I know it's not very credible, given I'm the one suggesting this possibility to you, but if I were you, I'd totally risk it. I mean, at best, you get a new life to play around with, and at worst, you just get exactly what you would have gotten had you not done anything in the first place. That's what you were thinking, too. You can't deny that your chances of survival, assuming there's any in the first place, are higher with her plan than without. Yet, still, a strange nagging feeling at the back of your head keeps bothering you. I just can't understand. Why me? There are countless people, some even in this very room, who deserve a second shot at life more than I do. I suppose you're right, in a way. You suppose? What's that supposed to mean? The cat smiles as she nods at you, confusing you even further. Tell you what. You want me to give it to you straight? I picked a folder at random from a locker, and it happened to be yours. Are you freaking kidding me? The scientist appears a little surprised by your sudden outburst. What? You were expecting some sort of careful consideration, or maybe more routine, heavily scrutinized roulette? I happened to pass by and decided I'd look for a new candidate for our experiments here. I chose a folder at random, and it happened to be yours. That's about it, really. You almost puke at her explanation, disgusted by the sheer randomness of it all. This is so messed up. Oh, really? I beg to disagree. Tell me, do you believe in fate, in destiny, in the idea that all our actions are preordained by God, the universe, or something else beyond our understanding? Yet another ridiculous out-of-the-blue question, but you feel like you've gotten used to it by now. You reluctantly share your answer, barely suppressing the anger that it causes you as you do. Well, I guess something's responsible for landing me here at my age. So it's a yes? Interesting. I thought determinism had fallen out of vogue with young people these days. Excuse me? Forget it. It's just a fancy way of saying that I'm getting old. Wait, how old are you again? Either way, pretty cool answer, kid. Most people would just blame themselves in your position, or maybe someone else who had nothing to do with it. It's nice to know that you're precisely aware of where the blame for this all lies. You struggle to follow the woman's explanation, though you pick up that she seems pleased with you for some reason. Anyway, to answer your previous doubts, if everything truly is preordained, then surely me picking you out of random, out of all these folders is meaningful too. If you weren't chosen by me, then maybe you were chosen by the universe or something like that. I don't think it's that simple. Maybe it isn't, but it's not the point. Destiny or no destiny, you now have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity before you, quite literally, if I may add. Only you can choose whether to take it or not. But why me? Why do I get this opportunity and not someone else? You'd probably be shouting at the top of your lungs now, if only your throat could afford that. Instead, you just whisper harshly at the cat lady, your words half dying before even leaving your mouth. Why me and not a child who suffers from my same condition? Some probably have it even worse than I do. Mary stands motionless by the side of your bed, once more incapable of meeting your gaze. Not even her cool facade can hide the pain and discomfort she feels as she listens to your heavy, heartfelt words. If children are a no-go, there's still countless people who've done more to earn this than I did. People who've dedicated their lives to saving others, to help those in need, who've got something bigger than them worth living for, who've deserved a second chance time and time again. And yet, they're all going to die, all the same. Death will claim their lives despite their achievements and dreams, just as it will yours. Only now do you realize the sheer insanity of it all. of dreaming, of hoping, of living. All for what? For it all to end, just like that, without so much as a warning. You recall your younger cousin, who dreamed of being an astronaut and going to space ever since he was old enough to speak. His parents, your relatives, who've always tried to rein him in because it was never going to work out. Your other uncle and aunt, who've taught you ever since you were little to do good and be nice to others, so that God may smile upon you. Your mother, who only half a year ago was yelling at you to get your act together and start thinking about the future. All the things you were promised, the foundations you spent your whole life so far building, step by step, brick by brick, in anticipation of what's to come. Only now do you realize how pointless it all was, when all it took was one odd turn of the wind to make everything crumble into dust. Life is so freaking unfair. You cry your heart out like never before, so much that it physically hurts. Every tear that comes streaming down hurts you like a knife wound. You gasp for air like a newborn, slowly, continuously, painfully. You probably look like a maniac right now, finally befitting the madhouse that surrounds you, but you don't care. It doesn't matter. Nothing does. Nothing ever did. And the realization hurts you more than the cancer ever could. Alright, well, that's as far as I'm getting today. Be sure to like and subscribe for the next part. This game is also free on Steam, as well as on iOS App Store. Be sure to check it out there, and I'll see you all later. Toodles!